Hello, 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 and welcome to the College of Creation. My name is Dan.
And my name is Michael.
And we are Dungeons & Dragons DMs who love to homebrew items, spells, creatures, and features for D&D. And this is a show where we do that. We make new homebrew every single episode. And that homebrew that we make is based on suggestions, prompts, and things that we get from our listeners. The wonderful people out there in listener land give us things that they want to hear us make, and then we make them. And today is no different. We've done that again, and we're a little off season today, but that's okay.
Yeah, about 3 months too late.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But a fantastic prompt nonetheless. Today we were tasked with making something horror-related that's also funny. Something horror and humor together in the same thing.
Indeed.
Meshing of themes.
Horror and humor, they meet often, though. I mean, this is a place where I think many, not only dungeon masters, but many just like artists in general are very comfortable fusing these things. There are definitely some genres that maybe it's harder to effectively make them mesh together, or less common at the very least. But horror and comedy, man, that's chocolate and peanut butter.
Oh yeah, for sure. Salty and sweet, absolutely. They really have the ability to bring out the best features of each other when presented in the right way. And I'm hoping the thing that I made tonight does that to a point. I didn't go super deep with mine, so I don't know how far into each theme mine sits really.
Yeah,
but
same.
I do love the combination of those two genres quite a bit.
As always, it's a good inspiration point, if nothing else.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Just it got me thinking about kind of all of my favorite, horror, comedy, or just straight horror properties, and then how they've been turned into like that's the fun thing about old horror movies. When I was in high school, well, actually, I got to start this story before high school. I'll get to the point eventually,
Okay.
listeners, I promise. But like, when I was in elementary and even into like middle school, I was like a real scaredy cat of a kid. I was so scared of so many things. Like scary stories would get me. I went to a summer camp and there was a whole like hike up the mountain in the dark, and then they would tell you a scary story about the camp up at the top, and then you have to hike down in the dark, and it was terrible and I couldn't sleep. That sort of thing got me when I was a child real hard. And at some point I just like decided to not do that anymore and just like take a full deep plunge. And me and a couple friends in high school started just like getting together regularly, like every week, to watch just like some of the most garbage and some of the most classic horror movies that we could find and rent on DVD from the library. So we watched a ton of classics, but we also watched a ton of stuff that like nobody's ever heard of and nobody should ever hear of. Just all kinds of stuff. But like the great thing is that you watch some of those old horror movies, and I don't know if it's just because they feel dated, maybe because the special effects don't work as well, or maybe it's just it's always been a thing that like the campy aspect of it has always been there a little bit. But like those things are funny to watch, and the intention is very much for them to be scary, and sometimes they lean towards scary, but oftentimes just the absurdity of it is hilarious.
Right. I think it has a lot to do with the increase of social awareness just in the last decade even. There were so many revelations of cinema in the 70s, 80s, 90s, things that were being done for the very first time that were blowing people's minds. Every couple months something new would happen that people had never seen in a movie theater before, and that just doesn't happen as much now. And so when we go back and look at those past revelations, those past benchmarks that have been, behind us for decades, it especially I think for the generations that are younger than us, because we were kind of on the cusp, turning from a very limited technology into full-blown technological landscape of society. Younger people have a harder time buying into fake situations that should be realistic situations.
Well, horror is it's a tricky genre in general, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially
Yeah.
the more and more connected we get, right? How do you make the cell phone not be in the scene? How do you make sure that that's not an option, that's not an out? But I love a horror comedy almost more than I love horror, although I do love horror so much. But I love a horror comedy, Shaun of the Dead, Cabin in the Woods, an Evil Dead 2. Great stuff.
I was very close to modeling my creation today off of The Evil Dead.
It was very hard to not just fully try and
Yeah.
craft a homebrew object or creation based on something that already is
Right.
like horror comedy
Right,
that
yeah.
exists within the world of horror comedy. I mean, you could make a fun little stat block for like Beetlejuice, or you could make whatever. And actually, in fact, that was my starting point. And then I fully made a whole thing, and then I looked at it again and was like, I don't actually want to present this because I want to create something of my own, something that's not
Mhm.
truly just me adding stats to an existing thing. There are plenty of TikTok pages or blogs out there that make their bread off of just adding statistics to an existing thing. And I
Yeah.
decided I didn't want to take that route. So today, Michael, I'm very sorry I will not be presenting to you the stat block for Audrey 2 from the Little Shop of Horrors. It was a good stat block, though. Had blood frenzy and everything.
That's exactly what I was looking forward
I
to.
know,
So
I
now
know, I'm
I'm
sorry.
disappointed.
Yep. I know, as a musical theater nerd, and that would have really been up your alley.
Yeah, I was really hoping for just musical theater horror related creations from you. I'm logging
I'll bring
off.
some
frankly.
Sweeney Todd. I'll bring some Sweeney. Hold on. Give me 10 minutes. I'll get some Sweeney Todd going here.
There we go. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I think it was great. I think, like you said, more than anything, over the course of this creation, I thought a lot about ideas that I would like to use in my games, but didn't quite work for how our show is structured. So that is strange that you say that, because this is one of those genre crosses that comes up so much in TTRPGs that it's easy to just adapt existing IP and plug them into your game and have that be very cool. Like I played a one shot a couple years ago that was just Alien. Like all of the monsters were xenomorphs.
Cool.
And we had like chest bursters coming out of NPCs, and it was wonderful. That's not something that I would make for this show. So
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Shall we get into the creation?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Please, Michael, tell me what where was your inspiration point this week? What'd you grab onto?
I walked through a couple different ideas this week. I thought first about maybe doing a set of costumes. Thought about Halloween costumes because I was thinking,
that's cool.
what is horror, but also funny. And I thought, Halloween costumes can be silly, they can be very camp, they can be scary. But then I thought to make a set of costumes, I'd probably have to start with like the foundational costumes, like a witch, a zombie, a vampire, things like that. And that just felt like I didn't want to retread that territory. All of those stat blocks all exist. So I left that at the wayside. I would like to return to that idea someday, but it just wasn't
I think that's pretty cool
in the cards for this. Just like a set of garments that give you minor boons,
Yeah, maybe you could get like minor aspects of like the abilities of a hag or a vampire, or what was that thing that Sunfire said when she was on here that she came up with on the fly for her players, that they had like a special feat that they could take.
Yeah, they took
a feature from some
first
other
level
class.
feature from a different class. Yeah,
so you could like make a costume of the class so that somebody
You
could
get
have
one, yeah,
like the base
get one
feature.
trait or one, yeah,
You're
base
like,
feature of a
you're wearing your
vampire,
rogue
base feature of a
costume.
werewolf. Yeah, yeah. That would be cool.
That's
That'd
kind of
be
neat.
cool. Anyway, I strayed away from that, and I thought, what is something in the game that doesn't get enough attention but still could be construed as horror? So I thought about curses. I know we've talked about curses a few times, not for a while. We've also talked pretty significantly about video games, but never about my my niche love of old fighting games, specifically weapons-based 1v1 combat fighting games, a la Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, things like that.
Classic.
In these games, typically, you go through the story, you complete a few things, and you are able to unlock a joke weapon.
Yes.
For all of these characters that kind of follows their fighting style, but it's just a ridiculous thing. Like if you have a sword, but your joke weapon is like an umbrella or something like that. So I have made a set of joke weapons, 12 of them, one for each base class. So if you would please, Dan,
I love it.
open your document. I have created a cursed magic shop.
I love it.
I call this Vincent's Varied Vendables. All Vincent sells are cursed items, and the curses are not terrible. None of them require attunement. They're all uncommon. They're relatively low power. But this is my magic shop, my cursed magic shop. Willkommen! Vagabonds and valedictorians alike have viewed my vast and variegated vault of valuables. Vex yourself with a visit to Vincent's Varied Vendables, a vestured and versifying vault of vibrancy. Here, both victims and veterans can verifiably vitalize victory. My vocation is versatility, and my vivacity and verve will never vacate this vicinity. My venerable voyeurs, I vehemently vow to vanquish all voices that venture to vilify this vaudevillian vehicle. I say, voila! Value.
Va 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 voom. All right, Mr. Alliteration over here. Very nice. I like it.
Extreme,
Bravo.
Extreme, yeah. We're going to start up at the top here with a barrel.
Okay.
This is for the druid. It's an uncommon splint armor. Druids are not required to meet the typical strength requirement of this armor. When wild-shaped as a small-sized creature or smaller, this armor can act as a pseudo-vehicle. So you just run inside of the barrel, increasing your movement speed by 10 feet. But you also gain the Cornered Curse. While wearing this armor, ranged weapon attacks are made against you with advantage, a la shooting fish in a barrel.
Indeed. I see what you mean. Does this barrel come with like straps that just go over your shoulders and only cover your midsection? Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving down the list here, this is for the paladin. This is Dad's prized marlin. Nice. This is just like a big sword-nosed fish.
Big swordfish.
It's a great sword. Yeah, it's a great sword. When you hit a creature with an attack with this weapon, you can choose to deal 1d6 slashing damage to an additional creature within 5 feet of your original target. Got really sharp scales, so they kind of swing all over the place. But you also gain the Disappointed Curse. This is Dad's Marlin. When you miss an attack roll with this weapon, your movement speed is halved until the end of your next turn.
Dang.
Yeah. Dad is not happy with it. He's not mad.
Yeah.
He's
just disappointed.
Yeah. Next up, we have the dumbbell with one side missing. This is for the cleric. The damage die for this mace is... This is a mace. The damage die for this mace is a d10 instead of a d6. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you also gain the Unbalanced Curse. If you roll a natural 1 on an attack roll, you fall prone in your current space.
Yep.
So swing it all over the place, but be careful.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Extendable Curtain Rod. This is for the sorcerer. This is an uncommon quarterstaff.
Nice.
The staff can extend up to 15 feet, and while using it as an arcane focus, the range of your touch spells increases to 15 feet as well.
Nice.
But you also gain the Loosely Fitted Curse. If you roll a natural 1 on a weapon or spell attack roll using this staff, it slides apart into 3 unusable pieces. You will spend 1 minute putting the staff back together before it can be used again.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It truly is. It
I know
truly
how
is.
that goes, though. That's a very relatable curse.
I mean, we've all tried to put curtains up and have the whole thing just topple down on
Collapse.
you.
Yep.
What a terrible, terrible thing. Next up, we have the giant liquid core D20. This is for the wizard. This is an uncommon orb.
Nice.
You can replace one damage die for one spell with a D20, and you can't do so again until the
Ooh.
next dawn.
That's
One time,
cool.
get a D20 instead of a D6, D8, whatever your spell is. One die, one time.
Mm-hmm.
But you also gain the symmetrical curse. When you use this item's property, you must roll a DC 14 con save. On a failure, you take force damage equal to the number of the other side of the die.
Yeah.
For instance,
I
if
like
you
that.
roll a 20, you take 1 force damage. On the contrary, if you roll a 1, you take 20 force damage. 2, 19, 3, 18, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I just dealt
all of the
9
opposites
damage and
are
I took 12 damage, so
Yeah, ouch.
What are you gonna do?
Ouch, ouch. Yeah.
yikes.
Next up, we have the hastily crocheted mittens. This is for the monk. This is just uncommon gloves. While wearing these mittens, you can make 3 unarmed strikes as a bonus action
Nice.
instead of 2 with your flurry of blows. But you also gain the Ultra Plush Curse. Your martial arts die counts as 1 die size lower than is dictated on the monk class table. So you punch more, deal less damage.
Less damage in general, though.
Yep. Trade
Yeah,
off.
because you're running around.
Yeah,
We're trying to hit people with mittens. Too much.
Right,
Too
right.
soft.
Too much cushion. Yeah. The next one is for the warlock. This is the nondescript multi-joint patron action figure. This is an uncommon wondrous item. During a long rest, you can replace one of your known eldritch invocations with a different one available to you. Very simple. Every night you can change one out, much more frequent than you normally would be able to.
Mm-hmm.
But you also gain the Perfidious Curse. Whenever you use your magical cunning feature, roll a d100. On a roll of 10 or lower, your patron knows that you've been using another patron's action figure. That's a little bit more abstract.
Yep, a little bit.
However your DM wants to deal with that is up to them.
That's funny.
The next one up is the Pickle Spear and Service Platter. This is for the fighter. This is an uncommon longsword and uncommon shield. Whenever you succeed on an attack roll with this weapon, pickle juice spurts out, dealing 1 acid damage to any creature within 5 feet of you.
Mm-hmm.
And the shield, as long as you also have the pickle spear equipped and drawn, you are resistant to acid damage. So you get 2 minor boons.
Nice.
But you also gain the Succulent Curse. All opposing creatures that typically eat food will prioritize attacking you in combat. Don't have to worry about your elementals, your undead, your constructs. But
You're a tasty morsel. I mean,
they're
I
gonna
think
go after you first.
if you honestly, for a lot of fighters, that's not that bad. That's not that raw a deal.
That's true. I would hope that knowing this is a curse or meant to be a curse, a DM would
Treat it
try and
as such,
surround.
yeah.
You treat it as such in specific instances. Use it as a strength until you don't. Next up, we have the rubber band gun. This is for the rogue. This is an uncommon crossbow. This weapon makes minimal noise, and other creatures have disadvantage on any checks made to locate you after being hit by it. So it's much harder to tell where you're firing from. Except you also gain the Elastic Curse. Whenever you roll a natural 1 or a natural 20 on the attack roll with this weapon, it emits a loud boing sound.
Nice.
You got 18 numbers on the die that give you a great shot. 2 numbers that everybody's going to know where you are. Next up, we have for the Ranger traffic control batons. These are uncommon short swords. These are like the things on airport runways guiding planes down. This pair of swords deals bludgeoning damage instead of piercing, and any creature marked by your hunter's mark emits bright light out to 20 feet.
Nice.
But you also gain the signaling curse. You also emit bright light out to 20 feet, and that can only be seen by creatures marked by your hunter's mark.
Interesting.
So if you're tracking them,
yeah,
you got to stay further away. If not, they're going to be able to see you coming.
it's true.
From a ways away. Next up for the bard, we have Twine in a Box. This is an uncommon, it can be any instrument. This instrument can be played in place of a verbal component of any bard spell. It has 3 charges, which can each be used to grant yourself advantage on a d20 roll used for a bard spell. All charges are regained each day at dawn. So kind
Okay.
of like built-in extended bardic inspiration for
Sure.
yourself.
Yeah.
But you also gain the composite curse. If this instrument is submerged in water or rained on for more than 1 minute, it is no longer usable. The
Mm.
cardboard dissolves,
Yeah.
and you can't use it anymore. And the last one, that's the only one that I put in here that just gets completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Like a couple of them you have to put back together or you fall prone, but I felt like there had to at least be one curse where it just like goes away.
Yeah.
And the last one is the yield sign for the barbarian. This is an uncommon glaive. While this weapon is equipped, your rage can be paused if it is not elapsed and combat ends. That use of rage then resumes automatically the next time you roll for initiative. So you don't have to re-rage
Cool.
if you have some seconds left on the clock.
That's useful.
However, you gain the unyielding curse. Your rage ends if you do not use your full movement speed during your turn.
You just got to keep running around.
You got to be running around. You got to keep moving. Yeah. But that's it. 12 items, 12 curses, 12 classes. Vincent's Varied Vendables Cursed Magic Shop.
Vincent is very devious, I will say. Quite. I mean, a lot of these are very much like, oh, that seems like a good benefit. Oh, but the drawback is like the exact opposite of the benefit. So it really offsets itself, making these in general pretty much useless. But I love a useless little shop. It's great stuff.
I think it's fun.
It's fun.
I think joke weapons are so funny. I've always been drawn to them, and I don't know why I've not made more of them. I feel like I would have made a lot of them by now, and I just haven't. I looked through my back catalog, and I have maybe 3 or 4 that are like this. So I was very excited to bring this to the table today.
I quite enjoy it. Vincent. I want to know more about Vincent, who only speaks in V words, and I want to force you to continually have to come with Vincent creations so that you can truly utilize the entire dictionary and the V section in specific in order to communicate as this NPC.
That was about the 4th draft of that introduction. I had to figure out where like the more common V words went, because those were easier for me to just kind of slot in, and then I pulled up the thesaurus and figured out where the more difficult ones went.
You gotta get some of those. I mean, honestly, if you give him a really thick German accent, you could essentially get away with W's as well. So
that's true.
Keep that in your back pocket.
True.
If you ever want to use this as an NPC in a game.
Yeah, I'll have to work on my German.
Yeah, work on that. Well, that's great. Thanks, really, definitely the funny part of the prompt, I would say. Really good stuff.
More humor than horror, for sure.
That's okay.
Originally, I was like, it's going to be curses. They're going to be really scary. And then it just turned
They're not scary.
Stupid.
But that's okay, you know?
But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Big fan.
What about you? What did you bring today?
Well, let's see. As I said, I had initially come around on trying to make, the Audrey 2, a man-eating plant that like can charm people, but also grows every time that it kills a creature. Really fun stuff. But like then I looked at it again and I was like, I'm just going to be presenting
the stat block to Audrey.
Yeah, I'm just going to be presenting a little shop of horrors, and I don't need to do that. So I thought, what are my other touch points here? And I thought about, all the good old horror movies that I loved. And then was just also thinking about like what would be something that I think a player would have a lot of fun with, but definitely has some horror tones. So if you will, I've got 2 totally unrelated creations to each other. We'll start here with my horror comedy creation, The Blade of the 13, which initially I was thinking like, let me make something that like is Friday the 13th related, and then I did not do that. This is instead a short sword. This is the only relation it still maintains to Jason Voorhees and his entire thing. This is a little machete. It is rare and
Love it.
requires attunement. This is a magical machete that emanates a slightly irreverent but still mostly family-friendly aura. When you attack a creature with this weapon, you gain a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls if you have seen or heard the target doing any of the following in the last 10 minutes. Using profanity.
This is hilarious.
Displaying nudity or using suggestive language or gestures. Taking drugs or illicit substances, or enacting extreme violence, that is to say, scoring a critical hit with a weapon or spell attack.
Oh man, that's so good.
You gotta keep it to a PG-13 rating, man.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it to a rating 13 and above. That's fine. This weapon also, though, inspires its wielder with a sense of moral purity. Whenever you witness 2 or more of the above actions taking place simultaneously, you must make a wisdom saving throw, and on a failed save, you cut to black, becoming blinded and deafened for 1 minute. The sword will not allow you to see too much of this. It is too much for your innocent little eyes and ears to behold.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really funny. I picture this being this is like a Pact of the Blade warlock weapon, and the patron is just the Motion Picture Association that does all the movie ratings.
The MPAA.
And they're just like in the yeah. I think that is so funny. A specific funny point is that the 4 things that you need to have seen to get this attack bonus, only one of them is a mechanical.
Yes, only one of them is mechanical.
You can avoid, you can avoid critical hits forever, and still like, no. I think, hey, aren't you so mad? Aren't you so mad that you just want to curse right now?
And then we have an Artificer subclass. An Artificer subclass inspired in no small part by Young Frankenstein, one of the best horror comedy films that there is.
Yeah, in the discussion, in the conversation for the best possible.
Oh yes, I mean classic Gene Wilder, absolute icon. So the Artificer subclass here is the Reanimator. And I thought this would be a great little subclass that somebody would have a lot of fun goofing around with. It's alive! Well, more or less. You have learned the wretched art of stitching the extra bits of cadavers and poor unfortunates together to create a crude facsimile of life. But just like the true life that once animated the limbs and brains you utilize, nothing lasts forever. So, at level 3, you get Tools of the Trade. You gain proficiency with, I said herbalism kit. You could probably go with leatherworker's tools. It's a little more morbid, but if you already have this proficiency, you can gain a different proficiency, and then you also get Patch Up. You can treat any tool set with which you are proficient as a healer's kit. It has a number of uses per day equal to your intelligence modifier. So you kind of just get a built-in healer's kit. You also get Reanimator spells, so at 3rd level, False Life and Inflict Wounds. 5th level, Gentle Repose and Ray of Enfeeblement. 9th level, Revivify and Speak with Dead. 13th level, Death Ward and Fabricate. And 17th level, Insect Plague and Raise Dead. So those are the spells that you get. And then you get your primary feature here. You get Chimeric Harvest. You have learned to reclaim some pieces of slain creatures or unclaimed bodies to form new life. When you finish a long rest and have adequate workspace and tools, you can create a basic chimera. There's a stat block below. In combat, the Chimera acts during your turn, and you can command it to do stuff as a bonus action, but its base features are very limited. It has an armor class of 10 plus your intelligence modifier, hit points equal to 5 times your artificer level, speed of 20, and 10s across the board in stats. It's immune to psychic damage because it doesn't really have a brain, but it is a loyal creation, and so it adds your proficiency bonus to its ability checks and saving throws. And it has a slam attack that does a very small amount of damage. But you can spend 10 minutes investigating the body of a creature that died within the last day. First, you must make a DC 15 intelligence check. On a successful check, roll on the Chimera parts table below to determine the part that you acquire. And each part has a granted benefit that can be added to your Chimera. and a failure condition, which, when met, causes the part to deteriorate and fall off, becoming unsalvageable. On a failure, there are no salvageable pieces, and you can attach or swap any number of parts equal to your proficiency bonus when you complete a long rest. Is, I think, a d20 table, although honestly, you could expand it out to a really large table and just have an absolute gobbledygook mess of a creature by the end of it. The other thing that I considered was adding an additional thing, not just like the, what's the part, what's the benefit, and what's the failure condition, but also like what creatures. I think it's like you need a different d20 table for each creature type, because you will get different things depending on the creature type. Like, harvesting from an ooze is not likely to grant you anything that has to do with physical body form or anything like that, because you just can't hold it together.
Yeah.
But maybe it means that you have like an acid limb now or something like that. Anyway, that's a whole lot of work. For now, it's a very simple table, and I'll just say a couple of examples. Such as, you can get a corrosive tentacle, which adds 2d6 poison damage to the slam attack, and I think would also add like a +2 to attack and damage rolls for that slam attack. But it fails if you ever roll a 1 on the d20 for that slam attack. Or you could have stronger legs, increasing its movement speed and dexterity score. But if you ever cause the creature to like take the dash action 2 rounds in a row, the legs start to fail.
Gotcha.
That kind of thing. That's like, it's pretty rare, but there is a case where it will probably happen. Ideally, eventually, you just have a bunch of parts. You just have a bunch of parts that you collected that are just like, okay, I guess here, have this. And you just change them out. You just, give your chimera all kinds of little bonuses and turn it into an absolute monstrosity. That's it. At level 5, you get a greater harvest, so your DC for your harvesting check goes down to 10, and you can roll twice on the chimera parts table. At level 9, you get effective fleshmancy. You can use a magic action to heal your chimera a number of hit points equal to your artificer level, and can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier per long rest. And then you can choose, at level 15, unchangeable nature. So you can choose 2 attached parts on your chimera each day that are totally immune to their failure conditions.
Yeah.
You can say, like, there's a couple things that, like, I need you to keep. So I'll stitch those on a little extra tight today. I just feel like with a full like D100 table or separate tables for each monster type, I feel like a player would go absolutely ham, just like collecting random crap and turning their monster into increasingly absurd and horrifying aberrations and crimes against nature.
Yeah, it's more overall options that you'd have to create and figure out, but like a D10 table for each monster type feels more doable, because you're pulling from such a small pool of traits that I feel like you could take 10 from each more easily than you could call 100 into a like a mainframe table.
Yeah, that would probably be more useful,
because then you can kind of divvy it out based on the environment you're going through, because it doesn't make sense that you're going through a swamp and you find hill giant arms. Like,
exactly.
That doesn't make sense, but you can go through the swamp and say, okay, we're just looking at elementals right now. We're just looking at beasts or monstrosities right now. That's all we're doing. Are you aware of the Unearthed Arcana Artificer Reanimator?
No, what? Wait, huh?
So a couple months
Is this new? Is this new from the
newish. It's about a year old now, maybe. I think last spring it came out.
Okay, yeah.
Unearthed Arcana. It was the horror ones.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Sure. I didn't read that one ever.
Their artificer, I don't have it up in front of me, but their artificer is wildly similar to this.
Well, I mean,
and I only say that not to convict you of anything, but to say that I like this version so much better. I think the Unearthed Arcana version fell into the same trap as the 2014 Beastmaster Ranger, where each level marker kind of gives you something that your beast can do, but it doesn't allow the autonomy to train your beast how you want, or base the ascension of your beast on the terrain that you walk through. It doesn't feel very customizable. And while this isn't 100% customizable, there is a level of control that working with your DM you can have over what this creature is. It's a companion subclass. It has a stat block in there, just like you have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very specific on how it's structured. There
Sure.
are specific things that it can do at specific levels. And I like this so much more. It's so much more digestible. I can't remember what the spells were. I have to imagine they were probably in the same realm. I don't know what else other than these would make sense for a young Frankenstein artificer. But these spells, some of them don't get used very often. Gentle Repose is certainly an underrated spell. These are a lot of non-damage dealing spells that really can save the day in a horror situation. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, I felt like Gentle Repose would help you extend the lifespan of some of these things,
Yeah.
You got to get something that has died within the last 24 hours. Maybe you don't have a minute to investigate it right now, but hit it with a Gentle Repose and you can carry that body
Boom.
elsewhere and then
Boom.
grab a piece from it later.
I especially like levels 5 through 15. They're so simple, and the magic is in the simplicity, right?
I think the only other thing I would change about those higher levels is just to give maybe the Chimera a little base improvement on each of those level markers of some kind, just to up it in general. But I do feel like if you're collecting enough parts, like it won't need much, because there will be things that will be increasing its stats. There will be things that will increase its size. You pretty much just need to keep fiddling with it.
Right.
Definitely not a subclass for everyone, because it would require more work and cobbling together, kind of like your Airsats Knight, where it you got to do some finessing and tweaking and a little extra work to make it happen. Yeah. But I think it could be a real goofy fun time for somebody who wanted to do it. So
I like it. I'm going to formally ask you to update this whenever we do our next update. We'll just pick and choose from different episodes, and I would love to see an updated version of this, maybe with some Chimera parts that mutually benefit the Chimera and the Artificer, like telepathic link.
Yeah, I think that would be useful too.
Like heal sharing or something like that would be really cool.
Taking something from a nation would certainly necessitate like weird psychic organs and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I harvested a mind flayer. Yikes. What does that mean for my brain?
Don't crazy. Know.
Well, we're going to put it on and just see, I guess.
Yep, exactly. Gosh, I would love to, once I get this, like, tuned up, maybe with some updates, I would love to see somebody just play a weird little guy with just a weird little guy friend. Great stuff. Could be a lot of fun.
In that vein, if I may, Dan, on my Discord, over the course of 2026... we're doing new stuff in 2026. We're trying new things.
Yeah.
I'm hosting a series of playtests that will include a bunch of stuff that you would recognize from our show. A lot of my things, some of Dan's things. So if you want to do that, come on over. Playtest with me and Dan most of the time, and some other people that I like playing D&D with. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely need some people to test out some of these things, and let us know how they work, how they like them,
if they work,
if they work.
if
they
work at all.
That's really the bigger question. Well, good stuff there. Horror comedy.
Yeah.
all in one. What a grand time. Michael, should we roll for what we are creating next time?
Yes, indeed. I have a D20 here.
Perfect. And I have our big D20 table full of prompts. If you have a prompt out there that you would like to hear us take a stab at, you should send it over to us. We would love to hear from you. You can reach us by email at collegeofcreationpod@gmail.com and tell us, one or two or seven things that you'd like to hear us make on the show. Or you can come on over to the Patreon. That's patreon.com/collegeofcreationpod and get in touch with us there. You can see all of the things that we've ever made and, then you can hang out.
Yeah. Just come see us.
I don't know. Yeah. Shoot us a message
Talk
over
to
there.
us.
We'd love that. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to make something for you. So please get in touch. All right, Michael, give me a roll.
All right, here we go. Dan, that is a 16.
16. We have a subclass. Possibly
Shocker.
subclasses.
Interesting.
From Lucas. Thanks for the email, Lucas. We have subclasses based on Trevor and Richter Belmont from Castlevania.
Yeah.
Castlevania subclasses. I might expand this out to just Castlevania based subclasses. I'm not a huge Castlevania head, so I'm gonna have to do some research.
So there are a couple ways we could do this. We could, because there are a ton of characters in Castlevania, because there are a ton of Castlevania games.
Sure.
The lore runs deep, and I have played some of them. I have barely scratched the surface. I don't know what's going on in that lore at all.
Okay.
But we could each pick one of those characters.
Okay.
Or we could just leave it to the fates and figure out what we want to do.
Absolutely no idea. Isn't there? Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. I'm just looking this up now, and now I have a whole thing. There's also Simon Belmont.
Yes, Simon, I believe, is more famous than the other two.
The original protagonists. There's also Julius Belmont. There's so many Belmonts. What are you guys doing?
That's what I'm saying. It's a whole thing.
Holy cow! There's a whole Belmont dynasty here.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But specifically Trevor and Richter. I believe Richter uses a whip or like a chain.
It looks, I gotta be honest, it looks like a lot of them use whips and or chains.
Well, it depends on there's somebody in each generation that has the whip chain thing.
Okay, gang, this is going to be a heavy research episode for Dan, and it's going to be fine. We're going to have a good time with it.
Let's just choose a character. Just wipe away all of the other Belmont lore and just zero in on these two characters. Let's just do that.
All right. I have no preference. I do not know the difference between these people.
All right, I'm going to roll a d20.
Great.
If I roll 11 or higher, I'll be Richter. If I roll 10 or lower, I'll be Trevor. Okay? That's a 19. So I will take Richter, and you can take Trevor.
It's time for me to play a whole bunch of Castlevania games in the next couple of weeks.
Also, Super Smash Brothers. If you have access to Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, I believe Richter is...
Yeah, I don't think that has a ton of lore, Michael. I need to know the lore of these people, okay?
Okay.
I gotta know what's going on with this. Well, I tell you what. I have some games to play. I have some anime to watch. Some manga to read, it would appear, and probably some wikis to read. So I better get to that. Michael, do you have anything to say to the people briefly before we say goodbye?
You know, Dan, I always have something to say to the people before I say goodbye. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Last week we talked about resolutions and how I don't truly believe in resolutions as like a reset as a new start. But recently, my wife and I have just made a list of things that we'd like to see happen in 2026. And a thing that I put on my list, genuinely, and I hope this can happen in some regard, whether it's a big thing or not, I'm going to put this out there. I would love for you and I to attend a conference this year. This is not something for the people per se, but just to put it out to the people that are listening to keep us accountable. We'll see if we can make something happen this year, because I would love for that to transpire. We're going on 2 years working together.
Yeah.
It's about time. It's about time.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be great to go and meet some of the people that we have spoken to on this podcast in person, or just folks that listen to it, or just folks that are out there in the same circles that we are in. That would be great. I would love to do that, and I'd love to play a game in person with you. That would be delightful.
Yeah.
No better time or place than a conference where there's no other obligations except for playing games.
Right. That's what you're there to do. So that's what you're gonna do while you're there. No promises, but we're putting it into the universe to try and make that happen.
Manifesting. Yeah. And hey, folks, if you've got cons that you love that you go to every year, let us know. I think we know about the big ones, but I bet there are smaller ones that I've never heard of before. So please, get in touch. We'd love to hear your experiences, and if you're gonna be somewhere, maybe it would be cool to meet up, say hello. Thank you so much for creating once again with me, Michael.
Likewise.
We'll speak to you, listeners, in just a couple of weeks. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.